The hillside is quiet before sunrise. The grass is low and silvered with dew. The path curves upward, but only a little of it can be seen. And that feeling may be familiar, not because life has completely stopped, not because nothing is happening, but because somewhere inside, it feels like something should have happened by now. A certain clarity, a certain arrival, a certain version of yourself that you thought would feel more settled than this. It can be hard to explain that feeling without sounding dramatic, because you may still be functioning. You may still be making decisions. You may still be caring for people, handling responsibilities, and doing the next thing that needs to be done. But underneath the movement, there can be a quiet pressure, like part of you is constantly checking the time on a life that never came with a clock. That pressure can gather behind the eyes. It can sit across the forehead after too much comparison. It can tighten the jaw in that small, private way people do when they are trying not to admit how much they are measuring themselves. And the strangest part is that no one has to be judging you for the feeling to appear. Sometimes the comparison happens silently. A memory does it. A birthday does it. A picture does it. A thought about who you used to think you would be does it. The hillside wind moves gently. Rise, pause, continue. Rise, pause, continue. The rhythm is simple. The hill does not hurry itself toward the top. The path does not apologize for curving, and that can feel strangely difficult to receive when the nervous system has been treating time like proof. Proof that you are on track. Proof that you are behind, proof that something has been missed, proof that the window is narrowing. The mind can turn almost anything into evidence when it is scared. A slow season becomes evidence. A delay becomes evidence. A dream taking longer than expected becomes evidence. Even rest can start to feel suspicious, as though slowing down means falling further behind. That is a heavy way to live. Not always heavy in a dramatic way, more like background weight, the kind that follows ordinary moments and makes them feel slightly urgent. The body knows that background weight. The chest holds a little less room. The breath feels a little watched. The shoulders lean toward a future that has not arrived yet. And underneath all of it, there may be a question that has been too tender to say plainly. Am I too late for the life I wanted? The hill remains. Rise, pause, continue. The rhythm returns with a little more space inside it. There is something in that pause that does not feel like failure. It feels like part of the climb. That lands slowly, not a certainty, more like a crack in the old assumption. Because the old assumption said movement only counts when it is visible. It said progress only counts when it can be measured. It said becoming only counts when other people can recognize it. but so much of a life is formed before anyone can see it. A person changes privately. A desire becomes clear quietly. A boundary begins in the nervous system before it becomes a sentence. A new chapter starts as a feeling long before it becomes a plan. The breath moves easier now, not because the whole path has appeared, because the pressure around the path has softened. More weight is being held by the ground beneath the body. The jaw releases a little of its quiet argument with time. The chest has room for an unfinished story. A bird lifts suddenly from the grass. Just one quick movement across the pale morning, then it disappears beyond the slope. Attention follows it. For a moment, everything else becomes less loud. When the quiet returns, the feeling is not exactly the same. The urgency has lost some of its certainty. Because there are things that cannot be rushed without being missed in a different way. There are seasons that look slow from the outside but are rearranging something essential underneath. There are pauses that are not empty. There are delays that are not endings. There are versions of yourself that needed time to become safe enough to arrive. The path continues upward, still not fully visible, still not offering the whole answer. And maybe that is the part life keeps giving differently than the mind wants. Not the entire map, just enough ground for the next honest movement. Rise, pause, continue. The rhythm returns again, and this time the pause feels less threatening. It does not feel like being left behind. It feels like being gathered. That is a quieter possibility, but it has weight. Maybe the seasons that felt late were not only delays. Maybe some of them were collecting strength. Maybe some of them were teaching the nervous system how to hold more truth. Maybe some of them were making room for a version of you that could not have lived the old timeline anyway. The body hears that before the mind decides whether it agrees. The shoulders settle. The breath is less guarded. The future feels less like something running away. There is still uncertainty. There are still questions. There may still be tenderness around what has not happened yet. But the tenderness does not close the story. It belongs to the story. Hope begins to feel less like pressure now, not a demand to be positive, not a command to believe, more like a small space in the chest where life can still enter. The hillside opens more as morning comes. The path remains unfinished. The distance keeps making room. And the old feeling of lateness begins to look less like truth, more like fear trying to organize time. You are not as late as it feels. There is still life that has not met you yet, still timing that has not revealed itself yet, still becoming that is happening beneath the visible parts. Rise, pause, continue. The rhythm returns one final time, simple, steady, alive. Not everything that matters arrives early. Not everything meaningful announces itself in advance. Not every part of your life was meant to follow the timeline you once imagined. The path continues beyond this moment. The morning continues opening. Your story continues taking shape. And somewhere ahead, beyond what can currently be measured, something is still making its way toward you. Not late, not lost, not closed. Still moving, still arriving, still becoming.